Sorry, I was talking on mute. Yeah, team, can you please confirm if my screen is visible?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for confirming. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome back. So, today we will be continuing with the remaining topic. So, that we started yesterday, we started with the DevOps sessions yesterday, and the main core difference between the DevOps, SRE, and the platform engineering. Then we covered some of the use cases in the toil elimination part. And yeah, I got the feedback like a couple of you guys do not have the production level uh, experience when it comes to eliminate the toil. So yeah, I am working on that part. So by the end of today, you will get a workbook. So in which I will be including the some of the samples of the toil management, toil elimination part, wherein you can refer them and you can work on that part. You can correlate with that with your work experience in your organization, and you can prepare uh, the methodology on the toil elimination part accordingly. Okay. So we'll continue with the third topic today. That is nothing but the error budget part. Okay. So this is the third topic out of five. Like we are discussing, we are continuing. Early, yesterday, I had a plan to cover all the topics, at least five topics, and we are planning to deep dive into the core SLA part. But however, due to the time constraint, we couldn't able to complete the rest too. So yeah, we will finish this up today. And yeah, we have again the same pattern we will be following. First, we'll go through the complete idea about what this is, what error budget means. Then we will have some examples how we set up the error budget. And at the end of this topic, we will have some MCQs. And similarly, for once and for the same for the blameless postmortem topic. Okay, hope it is fine. Uh, Please confirm if you have any, if you are looking for any additional things or any topic to be covered. Feel free to let me know. Okay. So, to begin with, like as yesterday we know that SRE is nothing but to measure the things, right? So, error budget is nothing but how you measure it, how you read it. Okay, and the formula is quite simple. The error budget, like we need to calculate, is nothing but overall 100% minus your SLO. SLO is nothing but the service level objective. Anyway, we will be deep diving into the SLO part today. But yeah, just to give you the heads up, SLO is nothing but the target objective that we have set, and the error budget is nothing but 100% minus the SLO. Now here, if you can see in the second, this one, the SLO 99.9%, correct? So we have mentioned as an agreed SLO of 99.9%. Here, so error budget is nothing but 0.1%, correct? Now, if you take a real-time example, okay, uh, in a 30 days, let's say you have agreed 99.9% of the SLO for a complete month. So what is the allowed budget? So that will come around 42 minutes, 43 minutes. So we have calculated like 30 days. We need to convert that into first into minutes, and 0.1 percentage, 0.1% by we need to divide by 100, and that will come around 0.001%. Sorry, 0.001, and yeah, so that will come around 43 minutes for a month. Okay. So what does that indicate? What exactly the meaning of 43 minutes? Any idea? Or if anyone can explain like what exactly we are setting up here? What is the why? What target? What is this target?
So
43 minutes.
we can say
So
to our clients or for the project that this is the downtime that we can expect at maximum. Like we can assure this is the maximum downtime.
correct. Perfect. Yeah. Yes. The app can face 43 minutes of the downtime, which is allowed. That's right. So this is nothing but the allowed failure. So we are allowing this. We are expecting this. So like we are not forbidding any failures. It's not like we are looking for 100% of the budget, but we are accepting that. So if any team is not spending these 43 minutes, if they are going, if they are deploying their changes with a fail safe, if they are not taking any risk, then that is also not safe, right? Because uh, the features, or if they are planning to roll out any critical things and which has a potential issue with the downtime, that could cause a downtime or some issues. But due to the strict SLA, if they are not SLO, if they are not following that, then these features and the new things that they want to explore, that will won't be rolled out, or the maintenance activity, any activities they are willing to roll out. So that's why we are allowing this 43 minutes as a allowed failure here. Okay. Now, uh, if you see the budget remaining part here, if you have the budget in your bucket, like let's say if you for the starting month, like if you have 43 minutes, and by the end of the month, if you are still having, let's say, 50% of the budget, and then that will give you the privilege to, to you can go with the fast deployment process, you can take some risk here, right? And you can deploy your changes on Friday as well, because you maintained your error budget under control over the month. So that's why you have earned it. So that's why you can take this risk, you can do the deployments over the weekend as well, you can perform the maintenance over the weekend. But if your budget is exhausted, that means all the 43 minutes are exhausted. So for that complete entire month, you cannot take any kind of risk. So you will have to wait for the new cycle here. The entire team will not be working on deploying any new features or any new changes, because as per the reliability and that we strictly agreed on the SLO part, unless and until this budget recover for the next month, the new changes won't be rolled out. Okay. So why this approach is genius here? Okay, so as we yesterday we were discussing about the fight, right? Yes, with the development and operations team. The development team is the product team is looking for the new features, and they want to roll out these features as ASAP, right? So they are not considering any error budgets. They wanted to roll out their changes ASAP. But the operations team, on the other hand, they were looking for the safety, correct? So now, prior to SRE, there were no any measurable things that were taken place. Now with the error budget, there is no fight, because we both operations as well as the developer teams have agreed for the error budget. If you are if you have the budget, you can roll out. If your budget is exhausted, you need to wait for the complete month, or till the freeze is over, they need to wait. So that is the agreement that we had with the development team. So that's why the SRE is this approach is like every time most of the organizations will follow this approach, since they have the proper agreement between the developers and the operations team. Okay. So far, all good, guys. Please confirm if you have any doubts or if you have any questions. It depends, Niharika. It depends upon the projects. Like if the any application, if one of your application is designed, and if that rollout is already done in the production, and you are just going with the maintenance part from there on, then it will not be. And since it's agreed on a in a system, even the service planning itself, while you're designing the service, so it depends. Like sometimes if the service has many changes over the sprint, then yes, definitely that may change, depend upon the severity of the application. But again, if let's say consider the example of the payment service, payment API service. So you design the service, and the SLO for that payment service, once it is designed, even though you have some critical changes over the line, the agreement will remain the same. The objective of keeping your application payment API up for 99.9% will not change, right? So you are just maintaining over the month. You just try to maintain that uptime. And yes, if the application severity get changed, let's say your application payments, it's some application have a low priority, right? If that application goes down, and you may get for, let's say, more than 43 minutes. You can plan for 5 hours downtime as well, because that severity of the application is not that high. So based on that, the product owner, the service owner, and the site reliability engineering team will decide the SLOs. Okay. Yeah. So here's how the error budget policy looks like. And okay, so if we have a 15-20 minutes of the deployment. Mm, okay, one second. I am not able to see the chat messages. Yes, yes, Rahul. That will count. That will be counted in under SLO. Yes, error budget, because you have agreed for overall 43 minutes of the window, right? So within that 43 minutes, you can perform all the activities. Even if you have if you perform the 20 minutes of the application downtime, that means you have used 50% of your error budget. And yeah, that's the so this slide explains the same. If you check the cautions option here, the overall percentage, if your application deployment time is 20 minutes, that means you have used your 50% of the error budget. The remaining changes or the deployment or the maintenance activity has to be done carefully. It requires the extra review from the senior leadership and the canary rollout. Canary rollout is nothing but you are not deploying all the changes at once. You have to roll out the changes in a gradual way, 1%, 5%. Again, you need to deploy your changes into the small batches, and you need to keep eye on the burn rate. Burn rate is nothing but the error rate, by which rate the errors are increasing, correct? So you need to keep eye on that part as well. And if it is like a healthy, if let's say if your application has more than 50% budget left, then yeah, you are good to take the risk. You are plan any kind of any additional features, and because you have 50% of the budget left, if something goes wrong, you have time to roll back these changes, given the 43 minutes of the downtime. Again, when if your budget is like let's say you have 90%, let's say you have out of 43 minutes, let's say you have used 30 or 35 minutes of your downtime already. So it's likely that you are under 10% of your budget, and mostly in such cases, the deployment freeze will be applied. Right? Only the things that are reliability work, that means the critical changes that are impacting to the users, only those changes will be rolled out. Rest all changes will be freeze unless this error budget cycle is over.
Santosh, I have one question and one suggestion.
Yeah, sure, sure. Go ahead, tell me.
Yes. So my question is the error budget we calculate it monthly or it can be calculated in 15 days or 2 months also? That is my question.
Mhm.
And suggestion is I just wanted you to read out the question you are answering. Why? Because when we see the recording, in the recording we won't be able to understand what question what answer we are hearing, right?
Okay, okay, fair enough. Sure, sure. I will read out the questions as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To answer your question, how to set up like based on what I mean time zone or the window that we are setting up, it depends upon the again the agreement between the product owner and the SRE engineers. Okay, it depends. Like you can set up your application SLO for 15 days. Like let's say, as Niharika said, like if they are planning with the sprint, okay, every sprint, if you're planning to track your SLO, then yeah, then you can plan for 15 days cycle as well. But again, if you are planning to if your application is not like having that kind of hard traffic like that we are expecting, then you can extend your window to 2 months as well. Given that your if your service has not that kind of maintenance or downtime activities, you may increase your window as well. But that again, that call has to be taken care by the product owners, service owners, and SRE engineers. Yes, Rahul, error budget is depend upon each customers. It's not same for everyone because it's depend on the criticality of the application. For the payment API, it is critical. Every transaction has to be completed when you start any transaction. We are expecting your transaction to be succeeded, right? Whereas if you're looking for only balance, account balance, so you just checking the balance, you are not performing any kind of a transaction here. So the error budget thing will different. I mean, let's say a payment versus let's say you are performing any other task which has not that kind of critical impact, then the error budget will change for that application. Hope I answered your question, Rahul.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the next topic is blameless and blameless culture, and it's nothing but as yesterday we started our session with one production issue, right? One of the in organization when there was a downtime for 22 minutes, right? And the senior leadership asked whose fault it is, correct? So we will be discussing that part today, and in this topic we will be discussing that part, and we will discuss why that question was completely wrong and what should be the correct answer. Okay, now if you see, when you ask any question whose fault it is, okay, so the next time when such issues happen, when you see such, okay, let's say again you are seeing the downtime for the next time, but when you blame the people, the engineers in that team, they will not come up and say, okay, so due to these changes, this issue happened. The next time they will try to hide the mistakes because there will be someone to blame all the time. So if next time something breaks, you will not get the honest feedback or the timeline or the clear answers from the engineers because again there is someone to blame. But without a proper data or without knowing the issue, you won't be able to fix the root, the exact problem here, correct? So the same outage will keep on happening again, and people will try to cover up those things. So the long story short is like nothing but you blame the people. So when you blame any people, you are not making them accountable. You are just making them to stay silent. Okay, because every time this issue happens, everyone will try to hide their mistake. Now this blameless culture, what actually it looks like, it means it's rather than blaming someone, uh, you assume that whatever the team has worked on the particular feature or whatever the task that is given to the team, and they have done their best. And here, no one is looking for, no one will be blamed. It's the teams, it's the system that broke the system, that broke the issue, that had the issue. Correct. Now, see, uh, instead of asking here like who did this, so if the senior leadership ask like why this happened in our system, why our system did not catch the issue, why our alert did not trigger when this issue was occurred, correct? This is nothing but the blameless culture here. So rather than asking looking for who did it, you should be asking why our system allowed this, and uh, what kind of configurations that we have, and what kind of alert that we set, and how did we miss this alert. Okay, rather than blaming someone, you should be focused on fixing the system. Okay, so the next time when you have a proper alerting in place, when you have proper system in configuration in place, these issues will not occur again, right? So that's the main purpose of having the blameless postmortem here. So in usually when in the interview, usually the interviewer asks like, okay, if the in the blameless uh, approach, if no one is accountable, okay, so is it nobody's fault in that case? So the in that case, like the answer that the interviewer is expecting is, it's not individual's responsibility. It's the system responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility. Since everyone is working on stabilizing the system and everyone is working on the proper configuration, alerting part. So it's everyone's responsibility here. Okay. So blameless removes the punishment, not the responsibility. You will still have the responsibility. You will be still considered. If your application is down for some time, your team will be responsible. Rather than blaming someone, your team will be responsible. Why your system does not have a proper alerting in place? This is the questions the senior leadership will ask, rather than blaming someone here. Okay, so to conclude yesterday's issue that we discussed to start it, like the CEO asked who did this, right? So the correct question should have the questions that we discussed. What allowed this to happen, right? And how can we what are the precautionary changes that we can do in our system to avoid such issues in future? You got my point? So blameless is nothing but you are not pointing to any individual person, rather than you are focusing on the system. So when any issue occurs, let's say again, let's take the same example of the payment issue. Now, instead of blaming one particular guy, okay, who has deployed these changes and what went wrong, here the complete payment system team who is managing this system, who is managing the deployment, alerting part, all the things, they will be responsible for this issue. It's everyone's responsibility here. Okay. Hope it is clear, guys. Yeah. Thank you. So so what the right question should be? So again, to conclude this topic here, um, as we discussed, like when you ask about whose fault was it, it's again people are going to hide their mistakes, and the root cause will be still unknown, because every time people will not come up with what exactly happened, and the same outage will happen again and again. But if you ask a proper questions like what was the issues with your system and what went wrong, and what kind of alerting mechanism you have in place, so you are nothing but you are setting up some guardrails for your system, correct? And the system becomes measurably safer. Here, the measurably safer in the sense you are not blindly deploying any changes. If you go with, let's say, canary deployment, and you deploy your changes with the 1% of the canary, and you have proper alerting in place, definitely your system will trigger if there is a kind of issue. Correct? Your error budget will spike up. You will be able to see increase in the 500 trends. Correct? So these kind of alerting in place, if you have this alerting in place, definitely it will be you will be able to measure it safely. And everyone have the keep learning without fear. That means like everyone in the team have that, since you have the complete, you work as a team, you work, and it's everyone's responsibility to keep your system stable. Everyone, the rather than considering any individual targeting any individual, everyone will keep learning the new things and stabilize their system. Okay. um okay, now we will discuss about one of the interview question, like, okay, mostly commonly asked in your it's based on the real time issue, the real time interview questions that are asked in recent days. I have seen these questions. So how would you define a SLO for your application? Or let's say it's a payment API. We are considering the same example that we discussed yesterday. So now if you have to define an SLO for a payment API, how you will be defining it? So you can consider any critical application in from your organization, and you can correlate that application with this approach, and you have to prepare your answer accordingly. Okay. Now, if you consider the payment API here, uh, what all things that we need to consider? So first of all, the availability. So as we know, like for the payment, the first thing is the main aim is to perform the payment successfully, correct? So that is nothing but what is the good for available, what are the good factors for this particular feature. That means if the transaction got succeeded, that means okay, that is the good. Then what about the rest of the matrix? So what you are doing here is you are setting up the matrices here. So here, first of all, SLI. The SLI is nothing but if the transaction got succeed or failed. Then latency. Was your transaction fast enough? So those will be these two factors will be your SLI, service level indicators. Now, for the availability, when you target about 99.95%. Okay, why are we setting up 99.9% of the availability? Because it's the payment application, payment API. It's kind of this application cannot be application, and it's a critical application, correct? But we cannot set the 100%, even though it is critical. We cannot set that 100% of the error budget here. Sorry, SLO. For latency, okay, latency is nothing but how much time is taken by to perform the complete request and response cycle. Okay, so a good latency timestamp is nothing but if your request is succeeded within 500 milliseconds, then that is nothing but a proper latency which is acceptable one. Okay, now all these things you need to explain this in the interview round, and along with that you need to explain what error budget we have for your application. Now if you see 99.95% of the SLO you have set, so that is nothing but the 22 minutes per month. Because it's a critical application, we are allowing only 22 minutes per month. So that is the written policy with the product owners and the service owners and the SRE teams. Okay, and if you exceed the 22 minutes, you are not allowing any further deployment for the payment API. You should be able to explain all these things first of all with any use cases. Okay, here if you see it's a payment API. For your application, it could be different, but you need to first define what good means here. What are the good means what user is looking for. When it comes to the payment, I'm looking for my payment should be successful, my payment should be fast. So these are my SLI. So in the same way, you need to prepare your own SLIs. You need to prepare the SLO and SLAs. Okay.
Santosh, I have one question here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So suppose for availability, we have set the SLO is 99.95%. So this is one, what to say, one characteristics. For example, availability is one. So we will have separate SLOs and error budgets for each characteristic. Because suppose if we talk about latency, so suppose out of 100 requests, we can have one request that can have latency more than 500 millisecond.
Correct.
So is it defined per feature wise, per characteristic?
Yes, so that is how the monitoring will come into picture. So when you say the latency, we need to consider, we are not considering the availability part. We are not comparing the availability part here. Okay, so the error budget that we are calculating, it's not with the overall transactions, the successful transactions divided by overall transactions. We are not calculating the latency in that way. For latency, we need to consider P95, P99. So we will be discussing that in the upcoming session. So for there are some different metrics that you need to consider based on your service. When it is availability, you need to consider the overall successful transactions divided by total number of transactions. That again, it's 99.9%. When it comes to the latency, you need to consider the this P90 and P99 approach.
Okay. Hi, Santosh. I have one question.
Yeah, yeah.
When you said canary, okay,
Mhm.
I mean, I got confused basically over there.
Mhm.
So whenever canary would be in the picture, then at the time application, I mean, we can consider for example, let's consider this payment API only, and
Mhm.
if there is a canary, then if for example 80% with the oldest version and 20% with the newer version, okay,
Sure.
so in this case, we can say like that. I mean, application was never down, right? I mean, how the error budget will be considered over here, and
Correct.
I'm just trying to understand from that perspective. I mean,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
could be a good move, right? I mean, if
Correct, correct. Absolutely. That's
yeah.
it's a really good question actually to start with. See, when you start a canary deployment, right? Let's say you start with the 5% of the canary. Now, in a 5% of the canary, your 95% of the traffic is still is being used by your old application. On the 5% of the canary, whatever the traffic you are getting, you will be considering you will be calculating all the metrics, error budget, okay, availability, all these things only on the 5% of the traffic. So if you see, given the 5% of the traffic, if you notice that, let's say in 5%, I could see 100 requests, out of which 50% of the requests got failed. That means 50%, your error budget is nothing but 50% here, correct? So that means this application is unstable. You need to roll back. If you continue to increase your canary from 5 to 25%, this 50% of the error percentage will remain same. So with the canary, you are able to detect the issues early, correct? So your dashboard should be well enough, or you should be designed in a such a way that you should be able to separate out your deployment process, the stable process versus the canary process. So in your dashboard,
Mm.
we have such features. So from the when you set up versions and when you set up for the canary, you will get to know the complete measurement of the whatever the SLI, SLO, how they are performing. You will get to know based on the whatever the canary percentage that you have. Even with the 5%, you will be able to detect.
And keeping the minimum canary, like for
Mm.
example 95% is the old and 5% on the new, so
Mhm.
that would be a best thing, or I'm just trying to understanding, I mean,
Yeah,
because from that we won't be burning our error budgets. This is what I'm thinking, I mean, is
correct,
that
correct.
correct?
Yes, yes, yes. That's the right
Okay,
way.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's better to start with and for specifically for the payment APIs, you should always go with rather than 5%. I would say go with the 1% only.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and at
Yes.
least monitor for 6 or 7 hours with the 1% of the canary. Check the performance. If your application is looking good, then increase it to 5%. And
Hmm.
based on the overall, performance of the latest changes, you can proceed to
Okay,
further. You can
okay.
increase the canary.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, Santosh. Yeah.
No, please. Okay, team. Any other questions or queries? Feel free to message or ask.
Santosh, does a user side error also comes under a yes or no?
Yes. Yeah. 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 All the issues. So the issue, any error or any issues that is causing the impact to the member, that will come into SLO.
But what if someone does not have the access to our application, but he is continuously still trying to access, causing some more error rates, right? So does it also get calculated inside SLO?
Um, Okay, so you mean you do not have the access to any application, okay?
Yeah.
And but is it impacting to your users?
Somehow the user access get revoked. He lost his access by accidentally. So now he is trying to access the application continuously, and
Mhm.
it was showing the error rates are getting increased. So in this case, this is also considered under SLO.
See, there are two. Here we are discussing the two parts. If the issue is related to your internal organization, if the within your organization, if your teammates or someone are not able to access the application, that then it will not come into SLO picture, because SLO is nothing but the end user experience.
Okay.
We are mostly focusing on the end user. Okay, this payment API that we have discussed here, right, is nothing but the end user experience. If the payment API, if the transaction has got failed, it's impacting to the end user. But within your
Okay.
application, within your organization, if someone's access got revoked, it's not impacting to the members, right, the end user.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what if the same case happens to an end user?
Sorry, what happens? uh,
What if the same case happens to the end user? He does not have the access to the payment API. So, and he is continuously trying to access it, means it will show error in our dashboard, right? That is unauthorized
yeah,
traffic. So that one also comes under SLO. Is it
yeah, that's
affecting
the core
SLO?
principle of site reliability, right? If the user is not able to perform any activity, if the user is not able to perform any transaction, then it straight away you will be able to measure it, the impact. Now we promise to our users that our application is available 99.9%, and on the other hand, if the user is not able to perform any transaction, then it's a bad SLO and SLI.
Okay,
On your dashboard you are seeing all the successful. Yeah, it's a good point that you brought, Suraj. So yeah, so think guys, even if you, let's say, set up a proper alerting in place, and error budget, availability, reliability, everything you have built, let's say a nice dashboard for your application, and still your users are facing some kind of issues, still some of their transactions are getting failed, then that means you have not built your dashboard, or your alerting is not proper. uh, you are seeing the wrong metrics. The dashboard experience, or the alerting mechanism, and the dashboard experience, whatever you are saying, it should be the same experience that your end user should be experiencing. If you are noticing that it's 50% of your services are having the issue, the 50% of the user should be having the issue, end user. It's not like your application is 99% up, and on the other end your 50% of your services are down and members are facing issues. It should not be the case. Your dashboard and your whatever the automation that you set, it should align with the end user experience. Okay, fine. So I think, yeah, we are done with this session topic. And yeah, again, so as we are following the same pattern, so MCQs, error budgets, burn it, and postmortem. So there are quick 10 questions that we have. Hope you are able to see it. If you want me to increase the font, let me know. Yeah, yes, you can go through it quickly. In 5 minutes, we will discuss the answer, and we'll move on to the next session. Okay, so Anshul, I could see your question here. If we have 20 plus services in application, so do we define the SLO for each service? No, Anshul, if it's let's say, if you consider the, let's say your application has microservices, then you can club them all into one. You no need to have a multiple SLOs for your microservices. You can keep a single single service SLO for all your microservices. That is also fine. But what I recommend is, For your critical application, I would say you should have a proper SLOs based on the endpoint, based on the criticality of the application. Abhishek, I could see if is the 43 minutes minimum time for SLO 99 as user won't be able to accessing. No, Abhishek. So see, 43 minutes downtime for entire month. Okay, so this is nothing but the accepted downtime. Okay, so let's say you are performing any patching activity, or let's say you have a release which has a dependency with the downstream database dependency for which you need a downtime in your application. So this is nothing but the accepted downtime. So for a complete month, you need to plan like it should not, your downtime should not breach, or the overall activities should not breach more than 43 minutes. You should be able to complete your activities within 43 minutes. And that is for the entire month. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Santosh.
Okay, I could see a couple of answers here. Let me quickly. Okay, yeah, would be. Mm-hmm. I see. Focus on first time, correct? Yeah, I could see many of you have answered them correctly. So uh, let's discuss the answers that we are the interviewers are looking for. So okay, so if you see the answers over here, so when we set up an SLO of 99.9% the monthly, so it is nothing but the error budget, which is nothing but 100% minus your SLA, which is nothing but the 0.1%. Okay. Um, I could see, yeah, many of you have answered this correctly. 99% 9 monthly SLO is roughly 43 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, question number three. Halfway through the month, you have burned 90% of the budget, and this is nothing but that you have already exhausted your budget, and you are left with the 10%. So your changes are like you need to be very careful with the upcoming changes. Um, Question number four, the bad deploy burns 50% of your monthly budget in a 1 hour. So yeah, sometimes this happens, right? As Mukul, we were discussing about the bad deployment. If any bad deployment happened with the canary rollout, if you see 50% of your error budget is burned out, in that case, it's better to halt the release and it's better to roll back rather than increasing the canary. Right? Uh, in postmortem, blameless means focus on the system, not punishing the people. Yes, I could see a couple of you have answered them rightly. Uh, Question number six, a human error starting point is not root cause. The right follow-up is uh, ask the questions to the team, like why the system allowed it and how can we prevent that in future. Yeah, the blameless is nothing but accountability is not accountability free. That doesn't mean that no one is responsible. It's a team's responsibility, and people will be still fixing the issues, but they will not be punished. Okay, if something goes wrong, they won't be punished. Budget is healthy with lot unused product want the risky launch policy says. If your budget is healthy, if you are below like less than 50%, your budget is still unused, then you are good to take the risk. Okay. Um, Again, the question number 9 is about the blameless culture we discussed. If any engineer uh, runs any issue, does any changes on the production, and with that he wiped out the production data, the blameless responsibility should be priority should be rather than blaming the engineers, you should have a proper guardrails so that your command your policies or your command should not be doing these things again. You need to have proper policies in place. You should be having a proper alerting mechanism in place so that these issues should not occur again. Yeah, again, last question. The main organizational purpose of the error budget is to yeah, we are not no stopping any development team to deploy any features. It's we are willing to do that, but let's do it with the proper measurable things in measured approach. Have a proper error budgeting in place. Let's have a proper SLO in place, and yeah, you are good to release your features. Okay. Um, So just quick recap on what we have discussed yesterday and today so far, like the five main topics about the SRE, the difference between SRE, DevOps, and platform engineering. Reliability is a feature, and why can't you set up the 100% of the target you budget for, and if you try to add extra 9 in your availability, you are nothing but adding extra cost to your organization. Toil elimination. Toil is nothing but the manual and repetitive work. And 50%, if you are planning to keep the manual work under control, you should keep that below 50%. And rest of the 50%, our team should be focusing on the automation part. Error budget is nothing but 100% minus your SLO. If you have a proper healthy error budgets, then you are good to deploy your changes like the 43 minutes window. And if it is exhausted, then yeah, again, it's kind of a change phase. Blameless culture, fix the system rather than focusing or blaming any person or any engineer. Let's try to stabilize your system, have a proper mechanism in place, and have a proper dashboard alerting in place, so that instead of blaming the person, your system should be responsible for it, and it is everyone's responsibility, not the individual's responsibility. Okay, is here everyone is accountable. So far, like all these 5 topics, any if you have any doubts or any queries on these 5 topics, because these are very critical. Based on this all ideas, we will be moving on to the next topic, like how to deep dive, how to implement all these things in your production environment. And if your basics are clear, you will get a clear idea on how can you implement these things in your organization.
May I know, in your current project, is there any tool to measure everything? Like, or end of the month, you will be presenting the presentation, right? In the PowerPoint that this has happened, this has happened. Apart from that, is there any tool to measure everything?
Yes. So in the next session, we will be discussing about the Prometheus and observability tool Grafana, right? So
yeah, it measuring the application things alone, right? Not this kind of the error budget and the SLO SLIs. Does it measures
yes,
in Grafana?
yes, that does everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
and even in Grafana also we can capture that, and even the Datadog. If anyone has any experience in the Datadog, you can build such kind of widgets for your project. So even Datadog support that features. You can build SLI, you can build SLO. Yeah.
Got it. May I know, in this workshop, do we have any Dynatrace or Datadog?
If you want, I can give the quick overview about the Datadog, and I can do that as well. But again, I need to allocate some time because I was focusing on Grafana dashboard. But yes, I can take some an overview on the how we can do the same on Datadog tool as well. Because I can see most of the organizations are being migrating to Datadog from Grafana. Yeah.
Yes, correct. I have to get in the interview for Datadog or else Dynatrace they are asking.
Correct. Absolutely. I can have that one session for Datadog as well. I can give you a quick overview and how can we implement all these ideas in Datadog session as well.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Any other queries, guys? Okay. So moving on to the next topic, we'll deep dive into SLA, SLI, and SLO. So at the end of this today's session, you should be well enough to answer in the interview that what exactly they mean, and there shouldn't be any confusion, and you should be able to prepare your own SLO for your application. Okay. So to begin with, okay, so what do you mean by SLI? So if you can see here, SLI is nothing but an indicator. Okay, so it's nothing but a metric. So as someone said, right, how are we calculating the metrics? What are the tools available? So the tools like this Datadog, Grafana, with these tools, we are going to measure the SLI. Okay, and based on that only, we will be able to know how many requests are getting succeeded, what is the latency of my application, how my application is performing, And if you consider the deployment process also, within 1% of the canary, how the requests are performing. So SLI is nothing but the measurement. That measurement, that is how the end user is experiencing. Okay, if you have your application is 99.9% up, that defines the user happiness right now. Okay, and that is nothing but the experience to the user. Your application is up, and 99.993% of the time your requests are getting successful. Okay, SLO is nothing but the internal target. Okay. So for every organization, every company, or every team will have their own internal SLO, depend upon the criticality of the application. Okay. So when you say like, okay, what is the why do we need SLO? Why can't the organization have? Why can't we keep it at the organizational level itself? Let's say there is one ABC company. Rather than having each team their own SLO, why can't we keep the SLO at the agreement SLO level at the organizational level itself? Any idea why can't we do that? Why it is not possible?
Sorry, Santosh, what was the question?
See, SLO is nothing but the internal target in your organization, correct?
Right.
Now, as we discussed, for the payment API, we agreed for 99.9%. So my question was, why only for the payment? Why all the services within your organization? Why can't we keep that same SLO 99.95?
It will increase the cost, and wherever the criticality is not more, we don't want to incur heavy cost.
Right? Absolutely.
Um,
So again, if we
because the sorry, because that is what the end user is accessing, right? Like he would only access the application instead of the backend process, everything.
correct, correct, that's right. And adding unnecessary targets to your application is going to cost to your organization only. Correct. If there is any service where you are where if it's not impacting to the members much, but still you are planning to have a strict SLA of 99.9%, it's not going to help, right? Whereas if your service is a critical service like a payment API, there should the availability must be above 99.9%. So SLO is nothing but the internal target. Okay, so that is it's the SLO. Why we are using the SLO for internal target only? Because that is aligned with your error budget. Okay, so we in previous session in few minutes back we discussed, right? Error budget is nothing but 100% minus your SLO, correct? And let's say if your payment API has a SLA. Okay, I will discuss that part as well. SLA will come into picture when it's a kind of a contract. Okay, we will discuss a scenario, production scenario, how to build a SLO, SLA, and SLI. Okay, in the next session as well, in the next slides. So okay, so uh, just keep in mind that SLO is nothing but the internal target, and if you breach that SLO, your changes will be on freeze. You won't be able to uh, proceed with you won't be able to ship your changes for that complete month or 15 days, whatever the time window that you have set for your application. And SLA is nothing but a promise that you have given to your customers along with the penalty. Okay. Now let's say when you promise to your customers, like you can use our application payment API, let's say it's a phone pay application, and you promise to your customers, okay, our application is up all the time 99.9%, or it's Amazon. Let's say Amazon is saying our application is up all the time, you can buy product anytime. Okay, but when you breach that agreement, it's not only the promise you are breaking, you are also need to uh, it will cost your organization as well. You need to pay the penalty for that. It's a kind of a external contract, okay, where it has a money attached to it, and it is kind of a properly written by the financial lawyers, and it's an agreement between the organizations. Okay, um, So just to quickly, how to memorize all these things, SLI, SLO, and SLA. So you can say here, I stand for indicator. Okay, from the SLI, I stand for indicator. It is nothing but the instrument that measures. Okay, O stands for objective. It's our goal. Okay, it's the internal goal within your organization. And A stands for the agreement. Okay, the contract where the money is attached. Right. So will any idea like any scenario or any real time example that you think of the SLA?
The incidents and tickets which we daily handle.
Okay, and have you ever seen any such kind of scenario where you know there was a contract between services or in your organization where you have an agreement with some other organizations, and if you break that organization that agreement, you will have to pay. There is a financial penalty.
I can say there is one good example is with like what we use like with Swiggy or Zomato. So like the
Mm-hmm.
order we place,
Correct.
it's basically a contract between us and the aggregator that there is a particular SLA of so many minutes that the order needs to be delivered. So if they breach that SLA, we can ask for compensation, or they do provide coupons and everything
Correct.
as a compensation.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Uh, exactly. The same cases like the interviewers ask you in the interviews like what exactly the SLA means. Have you ever seen such kind of real time examples in your experience? Like in so if you have noticed in AWS, okay, if you see the agreement that is given by the AWS to their customers, okay, they claim that it's kind of a 99.99% of the agreement, correct? To their corporate client, they have agreed for 99.99%. So you might have seen there was a recent issue on AWS where there was an outage. Okay, it was more than I believe more than 8 to 9 hours, right? And ideally, the agreement, the SLA agreement with the AWS is monthly. The error budget for AWS is monthly 5 hours, which was breached. Okay, so in such cases, AWS had to pay back to their corporate client. So how are they paying back? They will simply adjust the fine amount, the penalty amount, in their next billing cycle. Okay. Fine, guys. Are we good to proceed next, or if you have any doubts or any queries?
No, we are good, I think.
All right. All right. Okay. So moving on to the deep dive into service level indicator here. Okay. Okay. So as we know that service level indicator is nothing but uh, the of how are you tracking the health of your application. That comes with there are multiple factors that we need to consider. Okay, and that is nothing but the availability of the application. And yeah, I think someone just a few minutes back we discussed about the latency and the availability part, correct? So yeah, the same thing I was conveying, right? Availability of the system is nothing but the how many requests in your service got succeeded. Okay, so that means uh, how you are calculating the availability of the system is total successful request, successful transactions divided by total request. That will give you the overall availability of your application. Okay, the request, this is the request performance. This we can calculate the same formula we can use in the Datadog, and with this we can able to we can set up a dashboard as well for this availability, wherein if we see any degradation in the availability, the widget will turn into red or amber based on the success percentage. Okay. Yeah, I will check that as well if we can set up any kind of, if we can able to perform any such kind of using the Datadog. But yeah, in Datadog has many such widgets using which you will be able to monitor the availability, all these features, latency, error rate, and everything. Okay, latency. Okay, so latency is nothing but how much time for a single transaction. How much is your transaction is fast? Okay, let's say you are performing any transaction, this is a payment transaction. What is the latency? And P99 latency is nothing but out of 100 requests, your 99 requests are succeeded, are done or completed in less than 480 milliseconds. However, there is one user whose transaction got more than, let's say it took 5 seconds. Okay, that is nothing but 5,000 milliseconds. Right? So the latency, if you average out, if you consider the overall latency, if you consider the availability formula here, it will average out with the, it will not give the correct value, because 99, even though the 99 transactions of your application got successfully completed less than 500 milliseconds, the only one transaction which took 5,000 milliseconds, that will give you the wrong no, the wrong value about the overall latency performance. Okay, coming to the error rate. Error rate is nothing but the how often your API get fails. Like, it's nothing but the error budget. Okay, so this is how, like, we are calculating our error rate, right? So out of 100% minus the SLO. So uh, the SLO is agreed for 43 minutes. Similarly, the error rate is nothing but you are calculating the percentage of the your error rate of your application. So here the same formula we can use, the number of successful transaction, the number of percentage request within a given window, the successful transactions, and you need to compare that with the 5xs transactions. Throughput is nothing but how much the traffic can be, or a data can a single system, let's say your system, how much uh, request per seconds can be handled by your application. So that is nothing but the throughput. On a given day, let's say there is a Black Friday or any event planned, and if your application had any, we are expecting the spike in the traffic. So in such cases, the throughput will come into picture. You need to consider what is the throughput of your application, and will your application will be able to survive with, let's say, with the 20,000 requests per seconds. Will your application able to survive? So those all factors with that we need to consider when it comes to the throughput. Okay. Durability is nothing but with the database. So over the time, like, if you how much storage, how your storage system is performing. Okay. So based on this, the overall, availability of the storage system is calculated. So if you lost any data over the time, so you need to compare that, the available data versus lost data. So based on that, you can consider, you can calculate the durability of your application. So these are the metrics, and based on the application that you are working. So let's say some of you are working in the, no, at the database level. Okay, you are stabilizing your database and you are maintaining the database health. In such cases, you should be focusing on the durability part. And again, if you no need to be expert in all such cases, all these use cases, but if you are okay to explain any 2 or 3 use cases properly, like availability, latency, and error rate, it should be sufficient. Like, but you should be aware of the basics about throughput, durability, and all these metrics. Okay, and yeah, usually during the system design rounds in the interview, mostly these questions are asked. What is the how you will design your system, and what is the throughput, and what is the error rate you will set, how much is the latency you will be setting up. So depend on the, the criticality of the application, you need to prepare the data. Okay, yeah, and all this can be configured using the dashboard, monitoring dashboard from the Grafana. Also it is possible, and we can set up that in the Datadog as well.
Santosh, I have one question here.
Yeah, tell me.
For banking application, suppose we are pulling the bank statement for 1 month. So
Mhm.
suppose that comes around 5 seconds it takes, or milliseconds. And
Mhm.
if we are pulling the report for 1 year, then it will take more time to pull the report. So will that be considered as latency for 1 year, because both are different parameters against which we are trying to measure here?
Exactly. So that will come into picture with the latency. See, in such cases, depend upon the now when you talk about the statement, banking statement, correct? So these statements are uh, like they are important, but they are not that critical that your customer is looking for within a minute or within a seconds. Correct? That can wait. Let's say you might have seen like when you apply for the statement, you get a statement. Usually they say that you will get it in the next 24 hours or so. Correct? So that is nothing but the time that will take to generate the report, isn't it? So it's not that kind of critical application, but now, when you setting up the latency alert for the banking statement, you need to set up the latency to at least a P80, right? Or P8575 like that. Because we are expecting 1 month data, like usually the members, you need to again analyze the pattern. If the members are frequently requesting for 1 month data, then you should be focusing on mostly you need to consider that data as a latency. Okay. So for 1 month data, let's say, as you said, your transaction is taking less than 500 milliseconds, then you should be considering that as a latency, P99 latency or P80 latency. Remaining 20 transactions, we are expecting that the members are requested for the complete year data. You got my point?
Yes, Santosh, thank you.
Yeah. So based on the requirement, based on the type of the request, right? Here 99% P99 is achievable only for the critical transaction where you are looking for the transaction to be complete in a given time. But yeah, as one of some of these cases where member is or the user is looking for the transactional data, when you try to pull the data, historical data, which takes the time more than, let's say, 10 seconds, or sometimes it takes the 20 seconds, then you are considering that data as a is you are considering only latency up to P80, P80, P70, P60 based on the priority of the application. Okay, good to proceed next, guys. Or if you have any confusion or any queries,
Yes, Santosh, I have.
yeah,
So
tell me.
can you just explain the concept of a P99 again? Because I missed that part. And actually, I heard it, but not
Mhm.
able to understand.
Yeah, sure. See,
Mhm.
P99 is nothing but let's say again, let's take the example of the transaction history, okay, or the payment. Okay, let's say you are doing the payment, and P99 latency is nothing but 99 transaction out of 100 transaction, 99 transactions are completed in less than 500 milliseconds. Only
Okay,
one transaction which took more than, let's say, 5 seconds, that is nothing but 5000 milliseconds. But if you average that out, if you consider P100 here, what will happen? P100, it's nothing but all the transactions till 99, which has less than 500 milliseconds plus 5000. It is nothing but like it is your overall latency will increase to 600 or 700 or so, right? But
correct.
that is the wrong valuation, correct? Because most of your transaction, 99 percent of your transactions are successful. Only one transaction got failed. So that is within acceptable, policy. So that is
Okay,
nothing but the P99. So based on the criticality of the application, you need to set up the latency. So as Niharika explained, we had a discuss. We just discussed about the banking transaction, correct? So for banking transactions, we need to analyze how the members are, how the users are, requesting for the data. If they are frequently asking for 1 month statement, then you need to consider let's say for 1 month statement, if your application is taking, let's say 5 seconds, okay, then you need to consider, instead of 480 milliseconds, you need to consider the 5000 milliseconds as your P99 latency, okay, as your P80 latency. But we are assuming that out of 100 requests, 20 members or 20 users are requesting a complete year data, which will take time, right? It will take 20, more than 20, 25 seconds. So that is again in the acceptable policy.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So yeah, so correct. So as I explained here, if you see overall 100 requests that you hit your service, 99 requests are able to finish that in a less than in a hundred seconds, correct? 100 milliseconds. They were fast and good. But only one request that took more than that took 10 seconds, correct? Now, if you average this out, see, 99 requests were completed in 100 milliseconds plus 10,000 milliseconds, because only one request that took 10,000 milliseconds. So that will give us the overall average of 199 milliseconds. But is it the right latency value? No, because most of our transactions were completed less than 100 milliseconds. Is it clear, guys?
Understood for me.
Yes.
So that's why latency cannot be on a dashboard. Whenever you are calculating the latency, you should not average that out. You need to see P95, P80, because some of the transaction we expect that will take some time, that will be delayed, but rest of the transactions, how much time it is taking to complete. Right?
Yeah, understood, Santosh.
Yeah.
So as I have just one question
Mhm.
about overall. So as we are going ahead with the theory part of
Mhm.
SRE, okay, focusing on to the what is SLA, what is SLI, what is SLO and all. So okay, so basically we are actually setting up the policies, right? The files with us. Okay, this should be this should be this,
Mhm.
SLO should be this.
Correct.
Okay. So, and we are going to monitor this. So we are going to conclude particular this document on the basis of the monitoring part of Prometheus and Grafana, probably, as per the
Yeah.
discussion, what I understand is correct.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the main focuses of the SRE part is to complete monitoring and keep that document ready with every cycle. Am I understood? Am I correct?
Yes. Uh, Monitoring is one part. Along
Hmm.
with that, as we discussed, wherever there are the policies where your team.
Hmm.
So we discussed about these 5 things here, right?
Hmm.
All these things. So as an SRE, along with the monitoring your application and stabilizing the applications,
Hmm.
so this mostly if you see DevOps and this reliability and error budget and blameless culture. So blameless culture is again a part of to stabilize your system. Okay, error
Hmm.
budget is also part, same part. The toil elimination is nothing but you are just trying to automate the things wherever it is possible to avoid the human errors.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that has many ideas actually to bring the SRE into the picture. These are the ideas to set. So not only the monitoring part, but we need to bring this culture within a system, within your organization. You have to set up this culture so that everyone who follows this, uh, eventually you no need to there won't be any team or there won't be any conflict between your development and the operations team. Earlier, when there was a DevOps, when something goes wrong, it used to be like, okay, let's say there was no such measurable thing used to happen. So as you said, yeah, monitoring is one of the part, but along with that, we need to work on, we need to target, focus on eliminating the manual effort as well. Need to automate the things as well.
Okay, okay. So basically, the SR is not only about a SLO and SLIs.
Yeah,
So it should contain so automation part, deployment part,
yeah,
the CI/CD as we can say,
wherever,
platform
yes,
engineering included
correct,
as well.
correct. Yeah, wherever it will involve all the things. SLI, SLO these are the things that will help us to monitor our application health. But let's
Mhm.
say your application is crashing frequently. If the pods are crashing frequently, correct, and
Mhm.
your system is not stable, and your CI/CD pipeline is breaking, your changes are no whatever the changes are being deployed, they are not stable.
Mhm.
So those things also you need to focus as an SRE.
Understood.
The
Understood.
main aim is to bring the reliability in your application by all means. Wherever you see there is a area that can be, can be automated, or you can stabilize those things, correct, to maintain the
Mhm.
availability of your application. Whatever things that you can do, that will be considered as an SRE.
Okay, okay, good. Because one of the interview I actually got into
Mm-hmm.
the SRE, even though I don't have much knowledge onto the SRE, I am a DevOps engineer here.
Mm-hmm.
So in
Mm-hmm.
a SRE interview, they are asking me for like write some Linux commands,
Correct.
write some Kubernetes commands as well. So
Yes.
on that basic level also they are asking into the SRE.
Yeah, absolutely. They will ask the reason behind, uh, uh, I mean, why they will look into that part. Let me tell you, if any organization is looking for uh, reliability in their Kubernetes cluster,
Hmm.
they will focus on the Kubernetes part, correct? If any
Okay.
organization is looking for stabilizing their, CI/CD things, they will go
Hmm.
for CI/CD only. So again, it is depend upon how you guys, how we guys go for the DevOps interview, right? Every
Hmm.
interview will have their like their own requirements. Some companies will look for CI/CD things. Teams look for a Kubernetes experience. Few teams like they ask for expertise into observability, monitoring part. It's depend upon the requirement, correct, where you can bring the reliability part wherever, like when it comes to the server level, I will discuss that part as well. So again,
Okay.
SRE is nothing, it has not, it is not a clear, I mean, there is not a clear set of rules, like if you study these things, okay, you are a SRE engineer. No, it is, it is depending upon what are the requirement in a given company, given organization. That's why whenever you are looking for any opportunities for a SRE role, you need to go through the job description thoroughly, what exactly they are looking for,
Hmm.
their domain. You
Understood.
need to understand their domain. Okay, are they focusing on the monitoring and observability part? Are they focusing on the Kubernetes things? Are they focusing on infrastructure part, like this Terraform automation things? So this Terraform automation is also part of reliability. As a DevOps team,
Okay.
we have seen that team usually do the deployment process and all, right? That is our day-to-day activities. But what
Correct.
is the reliability part that you can bring to that process is nothing
Hmm.
but the site reliability. So in you might have seen, like there is an infrastructure team who usually
Hmm.
perform this Terraform, using the Terraform they are, provisioning the infrastructure, and they're doing their day-to-day activities. But frequently they notice the issues with if the infra is not getting provisioned properly, the scripts
Hmm.
are not that clear, right? Then team need to debug these things. So to streamline this process, there has to be
Hmm.
some measurable actions that team need to take, right?
Hmm.
So that's where the SRE comes into the picture. Now, when you go for the interviews for the SRE,
Hmm.
usually their questions will be what kind of automation or the reliability that you bought in your organization or within your team that helped your team,
Hmm.
and to stabilize the application overall application health. What measurable things that you have done. That is why, like we will be following apart from this things that we are discussing today. When I share the workbook with you guys, over the week you need to plan, you need to think about it. What all things that can be automated or uh, can be done using the reliability part, and those things you need to, if possible, you need to implement that in your organization. Else, you need to prepare accordingly.
Okay.
Okay.
Understood.
Yeah. So, as I said, it the site reliability again, it depend upon what you are measuring actually. So, if if the role is for site reliability engineer on SRE side, on server side. So their requirement get changed. They mostly focus on this part, how your servers are. Like they will ask you to write a Linux command. They will ask you to check the health status, check for grab the error logs, and pod status, everything. If the role position, if the SRE position is at the server side, okay, and it is like you need to set up these things, what exactly they are looking for, and when it is a client side, right? As we discussed, like, so when the company is looking for the client side monitoring part requirement, if the SRE position is at the client side, then they mostly focus on the user experience. Okay, user experience in the sense how the users how your application is performing at the browser level, at the application level. Okay, and synthetic is nothing but the dashboard that you will build. Okay, so synthetic is nothing but like in a Datadog or in Grafana, your application will have some test users. Okay, and you need to configure those synthetics. You need to in you might have heard about the regression test cases, right? In your application, for your application, the QA team usually perform the regression testing, right? There are some test cases. So synthetic is nothing but the test cases performed at the by the monitoring tool that includes Grafana and Datadog. So using the scripts, okay, using performed, all the test cases will be covered by the respective tool. And if that tool finds every, let's say if you configure it for every 15-20 minutes, and if that particular functionality, let's say you configure the synthetic again for the payment, and if your payment page itself is not loading during the synthetic run, it will trigger an alert. That is nothing but a monitoring part. Okay, so I have given so again, like the SRE positions are not ideal. Like let's say if you are looking for a complete SRE role, okay, so there isn't any, because the companies will look for their based on their requirement. If they are looking for the server side SRE engineer, they will look for all this keys tech stack, and it's client side, then they will go for observability part, right? So that's how it will be. Based on that, you need to prepare. Any questions or any queries, guys?
Hi, Santosh. I have one question. So
Yeah, tell me.
in few of the interviews, I saw companies are asking for a Java SRE or a .NET SRE. So uh, is this uh, similar to like the SRE have to go through the code writing codes as well as along with the SRE responsibility, or like it's like understanding the entire Java application in and out and then
Yeah,
doing vulnerability changes and all this stuff.
correct. See, you might have heard about like in a couple of organizations, it used to be for the DevOps role and for the in support roles also, in production support role, there used to be roles called L1, L2, and L3 level of job roles. Okay, and the core responsibility for the L1 and L2. L1 was basically the like their responsibility was to to get to have an interaction with the end users, the incident part. Okay, to track the issues. L2 is used to be production support, who used to handle the complete production environment, the stability of the environment, which is closely related to the SRE part. Uh, and L3 is nothing but the developers who usually support to L2 team whenever there are issues with their application. Now, when they look for the Java site reliability role, okay, what they expect here is the ideal candidate should be good with the Java things, Java programming and all the tech stack, Spring and everything. He should be good at it. Along with that, he should have the experience into stabilizing the or fixing the real-time issues. Let's say in your application you deployed some changes and suddenly you are seeing the out of memory issues, or your system is breaking, or your server is crashing. uh, all these things will come into picture for like whenever when they so mostly when they look for .NET or Java SRE, they look for these troubleshooting things as well, apart from your Java knowledge. So when you get into real-time issues, like let's say your application is crashing, there is a memory leak issue. As a Java developer, you should be able to analyze the heap dumps, you should be able to analyze the thread dumps, how your service is performing, and how you can stabilize it. So that is nothing but like you are working on that reliability part from the Java perspective. You are not looking into the dashboard thing, how your service latency is. Yeah, that is again additional responsibilities for a Java SRE role, but your main focus would be on fixing the Java issues, the application issues, along with the Java application health. So some applications are hosted on web applications as well, right? And some of the applications are having the Java standalone service. So when the company is looking for the Java developer, Java SRE or the .NET SRE, so their main objectives are like they mostly look for uh, a good experience into Java development, plus good exposure to troubleshooting the issues and making the system like stabilizing their application.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. So team, we will take a 5 minutes break here, and yeah,
Sure.
thank you. Hi, hi everyone. Okay, so Divakar, thing is like we are mostly first we'll try to cover the sessions in within 2 hours, but I would like to complete this conceptual things first. So it may take some time, more than 2 hours also, possibly. But yeah, I will try to cover because I wanted to make all the basics clear before we move on to the next sessions, so that everyone is aware of like they are put with able to they explain all the things that we have discussed, because these are the basics, and based on that we are going to have the remaining sessions. So that's why. So first few sessions it may take some time, more than 2 hours also. And okay, how it is different day-to-day work, sorry, compared to currently I'm doing the DevOps engineering. Okay. No, Rahul, it is not. Yeah, see, thing is, your day-to-day activities as a DevOps engineer will remain. It will stay. I mean, it will not change. Okay, you will be still doing the pipeline automation thing, right? You will be still doing the deployment process. All the things you will be doing as it is as a DevOps engineer. But when you compare that with the SRE, that will come up with the measurable things. Okay, so you are while doing the deployment, you are checking for the error budget, okay, error rates. You are checking the latency of your application, right? You are closely monitoring the overall SLO of your application. So those are metrics you need to consider while doing your deployment DevOps activities. So it's not DevOps and SRE are not completely different things, but just the SRE will add on. It's an add-on to your DevOps activities with measurable things. Okay, so that's the main difference here. Yeah, so team, as we discussed about the SLO part here, right? What the agreed, I mean, objectives that we set with the application. So SLI we discussed, right? All availability, latencies, throughput, all these things that we discussed. Now, when it comes to the SLO part, see, SLI is nothing but the indicator that we discussed, right? But when we have to implement the objective for your application, okay, so that is nothing but you need to consider the SLI part first, along with the target, okay, and for how long. So as we discussed in previous slides, like for the payment API, we agreed to we are targeting the SLO of 99%. So what is this 99%? It is the 99% of the request. So the here the request is nothing but the SLI, correct? For how long we are considering? We are considering that is for 28 days. So 28 days or for a month or for 15 days. That is nothing but the window. So we need to when it comes to the SLO, there are these things are the important things that we need to consider. It is nothing but the SLI, the number, and the window. Here SLI is request, the number is 99.9%, and the window is 1 month. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you set for the SLO for your application, so what exactly how exactly you have to set up? Like it shouldn't be too loose. Like uh, uh, earlier, like for the critical application, we are setting the 43 minutes of the downtime. But if you set up 99%, 99.000, it's like you are allowing your application a downtime of 7.3 hours per month. Okay, so that means for a complete month, your application will be down for 7 hours. Okay, uh, even though your dashboard is green all the time, but on the weekends or during the weekdays, if your team is performing the activity for 2 or 3 hours and your application is down, it is not going to help. It is going to suffer your users, isn't it? So SLO should be there, but it should not be too loose. Again, on the other hand, it should not be too tight as well. Now, if you set up as it's almost like 100% of the SLO that we are trying to set up here. So if you see here, 99.999, you are adding, you are targeting for the 5 nines here. That means for a complete month, only 26 seconds of the downtime is allowed. So is it possible, guys? 26 seconds of the downtime for application for a complete month? Exactly. So 26 is too low because one application, a single application will take at least a minimum of like, to come up, it takes 10 to 15 seconds. And if you have multiple servers, it is going to anyway hit the target, isn't it? So, uh, so that is nothing but you are too tight with your SLO if you set for like a 99.999%. So you need to set up an SLO in a such a way that there should be a scope for development. There should be a scope for rollout or new features, deployment, patching, maintenance. There should be a scope of for that, and along with that, it shouldn't be too tight and it shouldn't be too loose that your members are complaining or your users are complaining or they're facing any such kind of issues all the time and they are complaining about your application. Okay, it is not available all the time. We are seeing some inconvenience with your service or system. So that also should not happen. So we have to set up a SLO in a such a way that it should not be painful for the user as well as should not be painful for the development team as well. Okay, so we need to keep one threshold here. Okay, so here we have some a column that sorry, a table where based on the percentage of the availability, we can set up the downtime. So you can keep this in mind. It is usually helpful when anyway I will be sharing this slide. So these things will help you out when there are some input questions like what exactly the SLO you will set up for your application. So these things will ask like what is the downtime for your application in a month. Okay, if it is a critical application, how much downtime you need to set. Okay, so if you see the use cases here, so if you are working at I mean a critical application, then you can target for 99.95%. Okay, so you are allowing sorry 99.9%. So like the payment application amount, right? So you are allowing like 43 minutes a month. But yeah, so if it is a kind of for revenue generating services, then you need to set up a minimum of SLO of 99.9%, which is nothing but like for a complete year, you are just allowing 4 hours of downtime. And 99.99% of the deployment, if your application is too critical and you need to set up a failover of a fallback mechanism and a deployment process also, you cannot go with the blue green. You need to set up a canary deployment in such process for the critical services. So yeah, at least you can you can consider at least memorizing one of the column, at least a downtime for year or downtime for month. Or if your service owner is having they set up the SLO bi-weekly, then again these stats will change. So accordingly you need to prepare. So when there is a questions like asked in the interviews, like what's the SLO for your application and why you set this, let's say you say it is 99.9. You should be capable enough to answer why it is 99.9, why it is 99 point, why it is not 99.95. Okay, so this level of depth are expected in the interview questions or interview rounds or whenever they go for the setting up the SLOs and how you define your SLO in your application. It's not only we straight away say, okay, I'm having 99.99. Then they will ask these questions. What's the criticality of your application? And what is the downtime allowed per month? So you might get this such kind of questions in the interview. So better you prepare accordingly. So I have given the stats. So based on that, you need to prepare your answer for setting up the SLO.
I have one question.
Yeah, tell me.
So may I know the downtime is included the maintenance or else it will excluding the maintenance?
Included,
So,
included
the maintenance.
Yes, it's impacting to the main your end user, right?
Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah. So the thumb rule is, if your disruption, your service disruption, your patching activity, maintenance activity, if it is impacting to the members, then it will come into that SLO path. I mean, you need to consider that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. Now when we have to define, okay. So in an interview questions, right? Usually ask, can you define the SLO of your application less than SLA? Okay. By any chance, if you answer like, okay, my SLO is more than SLA, then okay, the next question will be, what is the purpose of SLO in your application if your SLA is getting breached first? Okay. So the purpose of having SLO is, the objective is not to reach the SLA, correct? We should not be we are planning to defend our system from breaching the SLA, isn't it? Otherwise, we will have there will be a penalty for your service. That's why whatever the SLO you set, it should be higher than your SLA. That's why if you see here, your application reality right now, it is 99.93. That means your service is running 99.93%. But you are allowed for your service that your service can be down. I mean, for let's consider this instance only. Per day or per week, or let's say for per month, when you claim for 99.9% of the target for SLO, you are setting up like you have a time of 43 minutes per month downtime. You are allowing that. Your SLO is nothing, SLA is nothing but the agreement, the external contract. Okay, so that should be your SLA should be higher than the SLO. Okay, now if you see 99.5, it is nothing but 99. Here it is like 7 hours. So if you consider 99.5 here, it will be around 3 hours. So your SLA will come around 3 hours. Your SLO is 43 minutes only. So when you breach 43 minutes, what we are doing, we are freezing our deployment process, correct? So eventually your SLA will not get hit because you are stopping your deployment when there is when your SLA, when your objectives, whatever the target you set for your service was exhausted, you are not proceeding further. Correct. SLO is internal downtime target. So SLA should be higher. Like whenever you set up the SLA, let's say for the organizations, let's say the AWS. Here in such case, what I'm saying is, let's say for the EC2 instance, within AWS, okay, within AWS, for maintenance and patching activity of the EC2 service, they are allowing 43 minutes. But for the end user or for the customer, AWS is agreed to have 3 hours of downtime per month. Okay, but within organization, they are keeping it only for 43 minutes. So when the EC2 instance, if they perform any patching activity, if their patching activity has burned out all their SLO, that is 43 minutes, for the entire month, they are not proceeding with any feature release because there is a chance to hit the SLA in such cases, correct? So to avoid that use case, to avoid breaking the external contract, the SLO should be more than the SLA contract. Okay. Is it clear, guys? Or you want me to give any other examples? Or why do we need to set up SLO tight than the SLA? Because these are the interview questions regularly being asked in the questions like what is the SLA of your application and why it is higher than, why your SLA is higher than the SLA. Okay. Okay, so that is, see, this is the trick, but when you breach your SLA, when I say uh, the money is attached when you break the SLA, correct? So when you promise that, let's say, currently you are delivering to your customer 99.93% of their application, right? Now what you will do, you will set up the internal target of 99.90. But what you have promised to your customer, we will be available all the time for 99.5%. Okay. So as and when, like, if your application is more monthly uptime, if your application is up more than 99.9, there won't be any charges for your application. But when you breach the SLA, when your application is available from 99.0 to 99.9, there will be penalty of 10% credit. And again, if your application is 95 to 99, it will be 20% credit. And all these credits will be like based upon the type of the organization, the penalty will be adjusted accordingly. So to avoid these things, to avoid the penalty, we are setting up the higher SLO target. Hope it is clear now, team. Everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think, yeah, we already discussed all these things, and okay, so this is the real-time example, like burn rate. It's okay. So Anirudh, we discussed about the canary rollout, right? So we were discussing about the 5% of the canary, and I say, like, if it is a payment API, you should go with the 1% of the canary, correct? Now let's consider with an example here. So let's say for let's say it's just a monthly salary, considering the monthly salary. So burn rate means every day for, let's say, 30 rupees, 30,000 salary, every day burn rate is, if someone spent 1,000 a day, it is going to last for complete 30 days. That is allowed I mean, that you can expense, that can, you can spend that money. But if your if the burn rate is 10, that means if someone is spending 10,000 rupees a day, then the complete salary will be wiped out within a 3 days, isn't it? So high burn rate, that means if your application is highly unstable, then it's better not to roll out further. It's better to roll back, and it's better to hold the deployment. Okay, hope this makes sense, guys. I have just tried to give with the real-time example, so hope you are
Yeah,
able to.
got it.
Yeah. So it's nothing but alerting the budget 50% consume, that tells you that you are too late, and you are burning 10%, 10x more than the actual burning rate. And it is going to impact your application soon. It is going to hit the SLO, and if you continue to increase, it is going to hit the SLA as well. So that's why for the critical application, it's better to go with the canary rollout, since you have some time, to monitor your application health. Okay, so yeah, again, the MCQs on the topic that we have discussed, team. So yeah, let's hope it is visible to everyone.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah,
Santosh, just a request. Actually, we have another class as well at 2.
is it?
So,
Oh, is it? Okay, okay.
yeah. So, I don't know about others, but I think most of the guys also were here
Yeah,
on that class. But we
sure.
can wind it up for this week.
Okay, 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 perfect, perfect. That sounds good. Then I will skip the MCQ part. What I will do, anyway, we'll be sharing this deck with you guys after this call. So we'll, okay. So again, So right now I'm almost completed of today's discussion topic, and okay, so this is the exercise that we will have to perform. Okay, so this is similar to the commerce like Amazon website, right? So where we are performing all the activities, and uh, so the user adds atom, pays, he does the payment, and every time if you are not able to do the payment, the revenue is lost. Actually, it's a crucial one, and every downtime, it is kind of you are losing the money. Every spike, a traffic spikes on 10x on sales day, big billion day, or any sales day. So we are expecting the 10% 10x traffic. So I will be sharing you the workbook, okay? And I'm expecting what is the SLI you would set up for your application, what should be the availability of the application, and how will you set up the error budget, okay? So this is the exercise, guys. Anyway, this topic, because I think why we need to work on these things is to it will at least for the interview preparation point of view, uh, these things you can instead of this particular exercise, you can consider your own product as well. But when you are able to build an SLO by yourself, you will be confident enough to differentiate all these things in the interview, and you will be confident enough to tell the interviewer what exactly do you mean and how you have implemented this in your organization. Memorizing things is not going to help you out, because unless and until you implement these things, you won't be able to answer it in the interview. That's why I will be sharing this exercise, and anyway, uh, you can build that by yourself. I have given the model answer as well here. So uh, along with the worksheet, along with the you can refer this answer sheet, okay, answers, and in a workbook I will be simply giving the problem statement and the SLI SLO policies. So these answers will be blank. You try to you try to fix it by yourself, okay? You try to write it down, what exactly the error budget you will set up in SLO, and policy, external SLA, how you will set up for your application. Okay, and one more example. This is for the e-commerce checkout, right? So similarly, we will be discussing about the video streaming. So here the use case will be different. Now, as we discussed about the successful transaction rate, right? Here we our focus of the SLA is based on the buffer time. Here we will be considering about the all these things like play start time, play rate, how much time it exactly takes, what is the latency of your application. Okay, so if you see in both problem statement, our objectives are different and our SLI indicators are different. Here SLI indicators are availability of the application and successful rate. Here the SLI indicators that we are considering, the start rate, when you click on the video play, how much time it takes to load your application. Correct? So these are the SLI indicator for the video streaming app. So yeah, this we need to over the week I would request you to go through it. Okay, and yeah, so these are the some of the SLO and SLM. So where we need to set up for what type of service we need to set up the SLA. Okay, now as we discussed in previous exercises, right? In a request response, like let's consider take an example of the Amazon website. Here we are considering the availability. I should be able to buy any product at any time. Latency, it should be quick, right? So I'm looking for 99.9% of the availability. Web app front end, again, it will be like a dashboard or any kind of any application. So where loading the application should be fast and interactivity. Okay, so this is nothing but the web-based application. Okay, so again, if you are a web, if as someone asked the question about the Java SRE role, right? For the Java SRE role, this key metrics will change. Correct? For Java SRE role, their main SRE, the key metrics that they will be looking for, um, the health of your Java application. Okay. Similarly, streaming video, streaming playback, Let's take an example of the YouTube. So for YouTube, let's say to load your application, how much time it takes when you click on play button, okay? And buffer ratio, play start rate, and what is the typical SLO you need to set up. Based on this service type team, here we need to set up the SLO, and I have given this sheet, and you can refer this because not only for your application, in some interviews, like let's say if you are appearing for the SRE role for more than 10 plus years of experience, if there are any lead SRE or principal SRE roles, uh, usually they go for this approach. Usually these questions are asked. They will ask you to design a Netflix application. Okay. In such case, these are the questions expected. They usually start with the SLO and SLI. When you design your application, what all principle of SRE you will consider within your application and how you will build it. That part we will be discussing in the next coming sessions, but at least you should be able to define your SLI, SLO, and SLA properly so that once your basics are clear, it will be easy for you to in the interview to perform and to give the answers confidently. If your basics, if you let's say if my application is the streaming video, okay, I am looking, the user is looking for the quality of the experience. And in an interview, if I explain about the availability and the latency, it is not going to add up, right? Uh, User is looking for the quality of the video, and you are looking for the availability of. Yes, this is one of the critical SLI indicator. I agree, but that is not the use case that the user is looking for. Even if let's say there is a delay in availability, the video that the user is trying to the experience for the user should be good enough so that there won't be any kind of feedback from the user like videos your services is not loading properly or the start time is quite high. Correct. So you should be able to define the indicators based on the requirement, based on the problem statement. So that is again that I have given this sheet, but you need to practice based on your application. I'm not sure like your application, how your application is, what kind of your application is. So when it comes to the application part, uh, let's say, so for web app and front end, here you can consider the example of load and interactivity. You know this Zerodha or any share market app, correct? Here, uh, instead of loading experience or instead of latency, the main experience is loading your application, how quick your application loads, and how quickly you can perform the operations. That's why, based on the requirement of the application, your SLI changes. So you need to be very sure about what kind of SLIs you are setting up within your organization. And when you write, when you add the SRE related things in your resume, you have to be very precise what kind of SLIs you have set for your application. And yes, what else I need to cover? Okay, I will skip this MCQ part again. And yeah, just a quick recap of our 2 day sessions here. I will skip that part as well because we have just completed all these things. And yeah, I will be sharing the workbook with you guys. It's the I see I'm following the SRE book, which is designed by Google SRE. So I'm covering based on the requirement that workbook that they are following, and I will be sharing the workbook similar to what the SRE workbook looks like. Okay, so that will help you guys to, prepare your design your SLO, SLI, and SLS. Fine. Uh, okay, that this is again additional info that I have mentioned about who need to set up what and who need to set up the SLA, SLI. Okay. This is the real-time example, like what exactly how the business sets an SLA. So what happens when the SLA breaches and um, yeah, so this is nothing but the flow. Okay. Week 2, for the next week, we will be looking into the observability part here, the 3 pillars, like mostly we will be looking into logs, metrics, traces. What are these? Yes, Priyanshu. I will be sharing all the PPTs and along with the workbook and complete the details that I have. I will be sharing that with you today. Okay. I would request you everyone to have at least. I will be anyway. I will be covering the Prometheus architecture from QL. I will be explaining all these things, and yeah. Um, we will be implementing all these things like as we discussed in the yesterday and today about SLO, how to set up the alerts and how to set up the burn rates, error rates, and everything. We will be discussing in the week 2 session. Okay. Any questions or any queries, guys, before we wind up the call?
Yeah, actually, you are going. I mean, there is some work. I mean, the homework you want
Yeah,
us to do, right? So, what
correct.
is actually that? So, you said set up the SLA SLO. So, setup means actually what we need to do.
Nothing much actually. See, in this PPT only I have given the our application.
Mm,
So
mhm,
as I explained, for SLI, if I give you the problem statement, okay,
mm.
for YouTube application, what is the SLI you will set up? What is the availability of the application you will set up? And what exactly the parameters you will consider?
Okay.
So you need to work on this. Anyway, you see, I have given, you can keep the standard. Just so the intention behind this is, I just want you to be sure about what how to set up the these parameters within your application, within your organization. If you, let's say, if you have to set up this all these topics that
Mhm.
we discussed in your within your organization, so these all parameters will help you guys. So the main
Okay.
reason to have this workbook, to have this, I mean, policies, the same policies will be applicable for your organization as well, and you can implement the same. The reason why I have given this workbook is some of us will not have exposure at the production level in your organization. That's why it's a standard practice that I have given. But
Mhm.
if you prepare it for your organization, it's a perfect then, because it will help you for your interview preparation as well.
Okay.
All right, guys. I think that's all from my side today, and yeah, hope it was a interactive session today, and you all understood like whatever the details that we discussed, and any feedback or any other things that you would like to discuss, please let me know. Hope it was a helpful session for you. Productive session one.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yes,
Perfect.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. I'm
Thank
dropping
you.
off.
Thank you all. Thank you very much, and
Thank you, Santosh.
thank you.
Thank you all.